Oh God. This message is so painful, honestly. And that is why, honestly, I agreed with a lot of Americans that said this war wouldn't have even started in the first place. I agree with a lot of Americans that said, Iranians, if you want to literally come for America, please do not come for black people. Look for those ones that came for you and come for them. Now, Iranians are now sending message letters, going on interviews. And of which one of the most important thing that has literally kept countries flourishing is in their hands. Now they are not saying, you see, we have gotten to this level that we can no longer keep friendship with our enemies. It's just a whole lot to deal with, honestly. And if you check in every single thing that has been happening, the whole world has been feeling it for the first time in history. For the first time in history, America is sinking gradually. And it's so painful to watch. Let me just allow you guys listen to the message of the Iran, is it prime minister or president? Listen to what he said and also listen to people's opinion before I'll come back with commentaries. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks. I really thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I did not take you guys for granted. Let's watch.
Will the Strait of Hormuz remain closed so long as this war continues?
Well, as a matter of fact, the Strait of Hormuz is open. It is only closed to the tankers and ships belong to our enemies, to those who are attacking us and their allies. Others are free to pass. Of course, many of them prefer not because of their security concerns. This has nothing to do with us. And at the same time, there are many tankers and ships who are passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and I can say that the strait is not closed, but it is only closed to American, Israeli, ships and tankers, and not to others.
Iran is going after the US dollar as Iran is now considering allowing a limited number of tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz only if the oil is paid for in Chinese yuan. This is by far the greatest threat to the US dollar since World War II, and if enforced will wipe out $1 trillion worth of annual demand for US dollar, which is the value of the oil and liquid natural gas that passes through the Strait of Hormuz. And in order to maintain the status of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, you will need the rest of the world, other countries to also want to get and hold US dollar. And the world is incentivized to hold US dollar because right now the world's energy, aka oil, is priced in US dollars, aka the petrodollar. But now if you cannot use US dollar to get your oil through the Strait of Hormuz, demand for the dollar will fall and demand for the Chinese yuan will rise, which will diminish the power of the US dollar, which means the US will no longer be able to do things like sanction other countries. And not to mention, if the Gulf states also start asking for Chinese yuan over US dollar, then the global financial system, which is propped up by the US petrodollar, will cease to exist.
So I saw this article, this headline, and I wanted to give pause for a second because I really want you to think of what this is going to mean. Iran is considering letting oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz only if they pay in Chinese yuan. China didn't start this war, and China's about to win. So let's talk about why that is problematic. Since the 70s, oil has been dominated by the US dollar. Everybody trades oil in US currency, USD. Now Iran's like, guess what? Hold my fucking beer. We're gonna probably let some boats go through, but only if you change the currency. That means that would weaken our fucking dollar to nada. And China, who is not in this war, would automatically win because boats going through would have to pay in Chinese yuan. Like if that global demand for the dollar falls, it means our borrowing rates would rise. It would mean we would have less dominance in the world because our dollar wouldn't be worth shit. But go a step further than that. What has Trump said fucking continuously through this second presidency? All about crypto, all about decentralized banks. So he knows that if they go through the Strait of Hormuz and they've got to trade in yuan and weaken the US dollar, he does not give a fuck. Why do you think he has money all over the world? Why do you think he started a crypto company? Why do you think that's happening? Because he's trying to decentralize the dollar and make it worth nothing. It would reduce power of US sanctions over oil. China's gonna gain leverage over the oil. The petrodollar system, she gone. And the kicker, military presence in the United States would be more prevalent because, as you know, our Navy kind of protects that. But if it's, it's no longer an issue because the US dollar, we would have more of a political stance in the military in the Strait of Hormuz. This is all intentional. 20% of the world's oil flows through there. 20%. And if it's no longer in the US dollar and it's in Chinese yuan, that gives them more leverage. From that article, this is what I want you to take away. If oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz were mostly traded in Chinese yuan instead of the US dollar, the biggest change wouldn't be the oil itself. It would be who controls the financial plumbing of global energy. The shift would move from economic power from Washington to Beijing. Because we just took a whole bunch of fucking oil from Venezuela and that didn't seem to go anywhere except for Qatar bank accounts. He's playing fucking risk. And he's dumb at it. He's going to use our military forces against it. We're not being told all the information, and that's intentional. Our media's being suppressed. Weakening the US dollar as a fucking boomer who's about to cut earth is a dick move. And he knows it. He doesn't care how many of our sons and daughters die for it. Period.
And there's the power play, folks. The Iranian government announced that they will consider allowing ships to pass the Strait of Hormuz if oil is traded in yuan, in Chinese currency. Is this the end of the petrodollar and American dominance and hegemony in the world? Who knows? The idiocy, the lack of foresight that Trump and his administration and the greedy oil barons that he serves and the industrial military complex has the tables turned on them. Will it work? Your guess is as good as mine. Anyways, what do you think about this? Will it work?
This shit is hilarious. Iran says they're opening the Strait of Hormuz back to everyone except US and Israel. You can't make this shit up. What happened? It hasn't even been 10 hours. You can't make this shit up. They're running out of options. How about this? How about you go to your last option, the Allahu Akbar, self-detonate.
So Iran is negotiating with other countries so they can get their oil. But when it comes to the U.S. and Israel, they say, fuck that.
It is closed to Israel and it's closed to the United States. The Financial Times is reporting that European diplomats from France and Italy are talking to your government about trying to get safe passage for their ships.
Well, we are open to countries who want to talk to us about the safe passage of their vessels. We have been approached by a number of countries who wants to have a safe passage for their vessel. Our military to decide, and they have already decided to let a group of vessels belongs to different countries to pass in a safe and secure.
Now, this has came directly from the horse's mouth. They're not trying to stop other countries from getting their oil, just Israel and United States. The longer this war goes on, the more the United States spend money. Or should I say the American people money. Meanwhile, we haven't heard anything from Donald Trump about this. Is he running out of options? While the United States playing checkers, Iran is playing chess.
Hey, we ain't here to waste no time. Y'all already know why I'm here. So let's get into it. So Trump tweeted out the other day that more countries should send, military presence into the Strait of Hormuz. saying that hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, and the UK, others will send, people down there or send ships and military power down there in order to, reopen the strait because Iran got it closed. After Pete Hegseth just got up there and said, oh, it's open for business. Like, bro, then even in this fucking tweet, we've destroyed 100% of their military capabilities. Bitch, ain't drones and small missile range, close range missiles still military power, still military capability? Okay, just wonder. But if you wondered how this can become, or how it's eventually going to become a global conflict, which could potentially lead into the Third World War, this is not fear-mongering. This is just how things happen. As this issue becomes more globally connected, right? And the other day I showed an image about the breakdown of the oil coming from the strait, and about 83% of that goes to Asia. Like, they're one of the biggest consumers of Iranian oil, specifically China. So the 3-week period is about to end where you're really going to start feeling the global impact of this strait being closed. And not just with oil, because things run off of this oil, and also fertilizer. A lot of fertilizer runs through that strait. Just shipping, receiving, logistics as a whole, right? And y'all hear me talk about that all the time. Shipping, logistics, things of that nature. So as this prolongs, it's going to get to a point where these countries are going to have to come do something. They're going to do something. Like, we can't just be there just holding this shit up, right? So now, after Trump told, like a week ago, Trump said, we don't need the UK, y'all some pussies, because y'all don't want to help us, fuck y'all. Now he tweeting like, please help, because he just did this shit. No plan, they just did this shit. And we've had friendly fire incidents, all quote unquote allegedly already, right? With our fighter jets getting shot down in Saudi Arabia or whatnot, stuff like that. So all this is going to take, if more countries, I think the French Navy are sending out 10 boats. They're not going to the strait. They're like in the mid, but they said it's defensive positions. But the more that other countries get involved, the likelihood of an international incident happening that can light the fucking match to get all this shit fucking riled up and started, right? And what I mean by that, because now you have Iran stating that, hey, we'll start blowing up motherfucking Ukraine. Because now because as we've been reaching out to Zelensky, of all people, after we embarrassed him in the White House, to help us with the drone warfare, because Ukraine has experience with this. They develop countermeasures, things of that nature. And Iran said, well, you're helping. If you help Israel with anything, we're just going to start shooting at you next. Like, y'all don't see how this is becoming a global conflict. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, this war has been confirmed that it was but the Wall Street Journal put out a piece stating that this war was planned by 5 motherfuckers. One of them ain't shown right now, and that's General Kane, right? I think that's the guy that be on the podium with Pete Hegseth, but it was planned by them, and they didn't include any of, Middle Eastern CENTCOM, like generals or war planners that have been in that region for decades, understand, you know what I'm saying, the chemistry or the makeup of that area, how they think, how they operate, how they move. And he didn't consult with any of that. And then after he planned it, he consulted with Kushner, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, what's the other guy? With Kissinger, I think his name. So those were his billionaire homeboys that he hooked up with. So those were the guys that he was actually, making, because they're connected with them people. You know what I'm saying? And he planned it with these dimwits: J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Pete Keg's breath, and General Kane. So that's why you got shit like they didn't evacuate the military personnel out of the area before they committed those strikes. How they thought that people would rise up, the Iranian people would rise up if you took out their fucking, martyr leader. Like none of how the logistical makeup or the mental makeup of this area and these people and how they move and operate was considered. Now we're after the fact and we've already started it, and this is where we are. Not to mention, like, the State Department didn't get people out of that area. Oh, wait, because he gutted the State Department. Yeah, those, because they was cutting down he gutted personnel, like the people who were supposed to get those people out of those areas. Yeah, they couldn't because he gutted it. And they said that he came up with this idea of the small circle because then they would be able to get the plans out quickly and act fast. The Iraq war took over 18 months to plan, to coordinate, to get the logistics in place for that. And this motherfucker started a fucking war with Iran off the whim. Off the fucking whim. Then you have another billionaire homeboy that Trump hooked up, who's the head of the AI shit that Trump is doing. David Sachs throws out in an interview talking about how Israel could potentially be, the ones to use nuclear weapons. And I've talked about this before. I talked about this last year and the year before last, that when I broke down how this war would play out and Israel gets, bombarded from all sides. From the north, you have, Hezbollah. Then they were fight. That's back when they were fighting Gaza. And then in the south, you got Yemen. Now you have Iran. You add them to the factor. You got the Houthis. So they're getting and I've said before that when they start getting bombarded from all sides, what is their option going to be? Like, because we can't clearly defend them the way they needed to be defended if everybody's like Iran has planned for this day. They've been waiting for this day, and now it's happening, and clearly we can't stop that. As you know, missile defenses are running low, munitions are running low. That's why we got to go and get that. And then because of Trump's ill planning, they fucked up everything, all of our defenses in that area on our bases in Oman, Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE. All that shit's fucked up now. Years worth of logistics, years worth of planning, years worth of blood, sweat, and tears gone because this man ill planned, ill prepared. So what does Israel have left to do if they're cornered from all sides getting bombarded? They do have nuclear weapons, and I've said this before. And now rumblings are coming out from Trump's own inner circle about this because they want you to be okay with them using a tactical nuke. Again, this is not confirmed. This is just me saying like how things can play out and what is likely to fucking happen. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, but what has been confirmed is they're using humanoid robots on the battlefield out there in Ukraine. Yeah, now mostly for reconnaissance and breaching buildings and things of that nature. They haven't, start shooting people. We ain't hit Terminator level yet, but it's getting there. Just throwing that out there. And speaking of Trump continuing to hook up his something. Now I thought y'all said Trump was supposed to drain the swamp, right? So why are they now offering Wall Street bankers lucrative business deals and access to join the Pentagon? So that fund when they sold. When they put that investment out a couple months ago, the Department of Defense put that investment portfolio out and allowed companies to people to invest in I guess a military stock funds. Basically, that's what it is. I talked about it back then. But yeah, so they want to have a 30-person investment team to deploy up to $200 billion of government investment over the next 3 years. And they promote that you will have unmatched access to top-level government officials and privileged information flow. Whatever you need, you can get. So you're going to give Wall Street bankers and investors access to top-secret government. Bro, look, I'm just informing y'all, but I'm just tired at this point. Because I be feeling like, bro, I don't know, bro. I remember that guy I was talking about, David Sachs. Yeah, he's promoted. He's basically inside trading, bidding for his fucking AI shit. Trump is still making money off his crypto, and Barron Trump is insider trading. Oh, then you got motherfucking Trump getting $10 billion for the brokering the deal for selling TikTok. It's just, it's what you voted for, MAGA. It's what you voted for. Meanwhile, you still can't afford groceries and gas. Or a house, or college for your kids, or insulin for your granny.
Iran just made a major power move against Donald Trump in his own war as they appear to stay one step ahead of him. Now, as you know, Donald Trump has begged our allies to send their warships through the Strait of Hormuz to escort oil tankers through to help ease the rising global oil prices. Well, Iran has sent out a counter proposal to countries, letting them know they will not attack their ships, that any ship can get through the Strait of Hormuz if they meet two conditions. One, they must not be affiliated with the US or Israel. And two, they must trade in Chinese yuan instead of the dollar. If they meet those two conditions, they won't be touched. They're letting the world know you don't need to get involved in Donald Trump's war. We won't bother you if you don't bother us. And so far, the rest of the world has not sent warships. And this is a major move because Donald Trump got into this with no plan. Make no mistake, we are absolutely crushing Iran militarily. We are destroying them. But when it comes to the political battle of this war, Donald Trump is losing big time.
We have some news right now. Iran is now saying that if any European or Arab country wants access to the Strait of Hormuz, then all they have to do is expel the ambassadors from the United States and Israel. In a statement on state TV, the IRGC is saying that while Trump essentially is considering taking over the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil passes through, any other country can get access. They just have to expel those two ambassadors. Now it comes as Donald Trump is still looking for this off-ramp, saying that the war is going to end very soon, saying that he's essentially achieved victory in many respects. He's trying to move on from the war. Now, bombing is still happening, and Iran has elected a new supreme leader. But it seems as though the new supreme leader and the IRGC generally has not changed in terms of anything when it comes to the country or relations with the US or Israel. So Trump may want an off-ramp, but it's not like he has actually changed much over the past 10 days. Follow along for more.
Anyways, welcome back, guys. And you guys have literally seen all of that particular clips that I was able to roll out for you guys. And I honestly think with the way Iranians are going, Iranians just want the American dollar to fall totally. If not, what in God's name do we say that if you want to pass the Strait of Hormuz, if you want to ship your oil down to the Strait of Hormuz, you have to pay in Chinese yuans? You no longer need to pay in dollars. And that is why gas prices keep going up. You can hear from the, is it Prime Minister or the Ayatollah too that was talking. He said if they want to pass, it is only open for those ones that are not our enemy. But for countries like US and Israel, it is not open for them. It is sad that what one person went into work, a lot of people are now suffering. A lot of Americans will now have to suffer for it. Not only Americans, a lot of different people in other parts of the world. Because there was one interview I also saw where the Iranian said, if you are allying or you are supplying steel or ship to US and Israel, that the Strait of Hormuz will still be closed. But a lot of people do not know how important the Strait of Hormuz is. So let me just break it down in detail so that we can understand. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important waterway in the world. Okay? Where many countries depend on it for oil, trade, and global security. Now, one of the reasons is because major global oil routes. Now we have about 1/5 of the world oil supplies passes through the Strait of Hormuz every day. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, United Arab Emirates ship most of their oil through this narrow passage. Now, the second importance is for energy security for major economy. Big economies such as China, India, Japan, South Korea, and other countries in Europe rely heavily on oil transportations through these straits. It is closed. If it closes, their energy supply could be severely affected. The third reason why the Strait of Hormuz is important is strategic military importance, where the waterway sits between Iran and Oman, making it a military hotspot. Powered navies like the United States, power navies like the United States Navy patrol the region to keep shipping lane open and prevent conflicts. We have the fourth reason, which is for global oil price, which depend on it. Any tension around the streets, especially involving Iran and the United States can immediately push global oil prices higher because markets fear supply disruption. Then the fifth reason why it's important is only exits for the Persian Gulf, where the Persian Gulf has every few routes to open ocean. The Strait of Hormuz is essentially the main gateway to the Arabian Sea and the global shipping lane. Now we have the sixth reason, where the natural gas exports, where Qatar, one of the world's largest LNG exports, send most of its natural gas through the streets to countries in Asia and Europe. Now we have for global trade corridors, where beside oil and gas, many commercial ships carrying goods pass through the streets. It connects the Persian Gulf with global market. The last one, which is the geopolitical leverage, where because Iran bother the streets, it sometimes threatens to block it during conflicts. It gives the country major geopolitical influence over global energy market. If the Strait of Hormuz were blocked, oil prices could skyrocket, global trade could slow down, and many economies will suffer quickly. This is why this shouldn't have even started. I don't know why these two men, which is the orange man and his friend, literally do not consider anything that will happen to anybody before jumping into this WAR. They just decided, because I remember we slept on the 27th of February. I can never forget that date. We wake up on the 28th of February and this man literally declared we are WAR. And right now it's affecting every single country. But right now the Iranians are confirming, sending their messages and also going on TV shows that it is not closed for countries that are friendly to them. It is only closed to countries like US and Israel. For the first time in history, that gas prices rise up to $8. $8, all in the name of one person wants to literally lift his head up and make every single person see him as the first person to start the world war. It is now even more annoying that instead of making ways on how we can literally just get past this man is seeking for worship. He's seeking for worship from different countries, from NATOs. And if you guys do not know, NATOs are countries. There are 32 countries that comprises of NATOs. And he's seeking for worship from them. Now, just imagine that China now decided to also block those countries. But anyways, most of the countries are not even giving it to it because a lot of them are saying that we did not start this with you. Like the one that the president of Brazil said. He said, we never had our own weapons for war. We only have them for agriculture, blah, blah, blah. And we did not start this with you. And we cannot just come into this and end this with you. Guys, let me know what you think about this video, and credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best, and thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Let me know what you think. I love you guys. Mwah.